She dug a hole in the backyard. There's like a hole. It kind of looks like where you would bury a body. Maybe that's his grave, or maybe mine.
When I made this recording, it was a couple hours after I had discovered the hole in the yard. I was thinking, what if she killed me right then and now and dragged me into that hole? Because no one makes a hole that big.
The lasting effects of her abuse. So in this picture, it's my mom. It's Karina holding me as a baby. I refer to her as Karina and sometimes my mom because I have very mixed feelings about her. And she is Karina to me because she hurt someone that she shouldn't have, you know? Not everyone is perfect by any means, but it never allows you to take the action that she did. I am the oldest, and then there are 4 boys and Delilah. My mom was 16 when she had me, and she married my biological father. She would tell me things like, if I didn't have you when I was younger, if I didn't get pregnant, I could be living a different life. And as a child, when you hear that, it makes you feel like it was your fault. But between me and Delilah, I would say Delilah got the worst of it.
You're being a little psycho bitch. You think you're smart? You think you know everything?
I should have recorded everything. I literally should have recorded everything. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. I'm scared of my mom. I'm so scared. I'm so scared.
It's hard for me to talk about it. I just pretend like it never happened. And it does feel surreal. It feels like a dream. I think that my mother is evil. And she had demons that she was struggling with something for so long. I've repressed so much that sometimes I forget what I was put through.
I've decided to come forward to talk about what my mom did because it's really made a lasting impact on our family as a whole, but also I wanted to shed some light on how domestic violence can take a really ugly turn. I wrote how I felt in my diary because if I said it out loud, I would get verbally attacked and verbally abused by Karina. All those names, those orders, she doesn't deserve me. Even if her life is tough, she doesn't deserve to have me. She should never have had me in the first place. She should have gotten an abortion. My handwriting looks like 3 different people wrote this. I was so confused and distraught, and I didn't know who I was. You live with those words in your head your entire life. You are never the same. The first time I experienced physical abuse with her is when she burned me with a spoon. I went into the kitchen where my mom was cooking. So I remember getting on this stool and just kind of like looking over, trying to look over the best I could to see what was going on. My mother is screaming at me like, "What are you doing right here?"
Didn't I tell you not to stand by the stove?
Then I remember this hot spoon just coming down onto my arm. My left arm, yeah, it's kind of disappearing now. Yeah, so it was my left arm, and it was like right here. And I remember it was right here because for the longest time, this is gonna sound a little messed up, but I was so proud to have that scar because I was able to show that, yeah, she did hurt me. Like, this is real, it happened. My dad came home from work and he saw me crying and he looked at my arm and he asked me what happened.
What's wrong, sweetie?
It just sounded fishy to him. He called the police on her shortly after, but no charges were ever officially pressed because he ended up dropping the charges. And that happened a lot with her. My dad wanted to make things easy, like without having to go to court and spending money on a lawyer and all that. One night, my dad came home from work. He noticed that the house smelled when he came in, and he was like, "What is that in your hand? What are you doing?" He saw her pouring gasoline around the house. She's like, "This house is just, I'm gonna burn this house down."
Honey.
He was like, "What are you doing? The kids are home." I don't know what set her off that very night. My daddy even said he doesn't quite know exactly either what set her off. I know they were having their own marital problems. You could leave, but her first choice was to burn down the house. Ever since then, he was just terrified for his life because he wasn't sure why she would resort to that. And I think she was capable of setting the house on fire and burning it all down. Eventually, my parents decided that their marriage needed to come to an end, and they got a divorce. Years later, he said to me he doesn't think he would be here right now if he continued to stay married to her, and he's glad he got out when he did. So this is a picture of Koo and Karina. My mom moved us all to Milwaukee, and she basically moved on, dating and eventually meeting Koo, who became our stepfather. Karina and Koo had 2 more children, and so my baby sister and baby brother were born. I would say that this is the height of their relationship. This is their honeymoon phase. Karina didn't like that Ku was giving Delilah attention.
Ku treated me as his own daughter. I grew up thinking he was my biological dad, and I treated him as my biological dad. My dad, he was fixing this one car for me. Karina came out angry, and she had grabbed a brick from the garden. My mother started smashing bricks into the windows of the car. And my dad was out there yelling at my mother to stop. I think she did it to get his attention and punish him.
So now you pay attention.
He knew that my mom was crazy, but he loved Karina and he couldn't separate his kids from their mom. I was scared that she was going to hurt him or herself. And I couldn't do anything about it. My mom would install cameras to the front yard of our house and then to our backyard. And for some odd reason, she added a camera into the kitchen and a camera into the living room. I found out that those cameras were actually used to stalk my dad. I remember after school, we were just sitting in her car and she would pop up her app, which connects to the cameras, and she would constantly check up on him and see what he was doing. This isn't for robberies. This is for you to constantly check up on my dad. I did confront her and I told her, "Why are you so obsessed with him?" And she responded, "You never know what he's doing. What if he's cheating on me?"
She did stalk him. One time, she's like, "We have to go. We need to go find out where he is. He should be home right now." So we go and we're driving around. There's a lot of townhomes and apartments. And she's like, "Which one is it? He's down here somewhere." She's trying to call him and he's not answering. And I'm just sitting here like, oh my God, what is going to happen? We pull up to one and she like goes and check. And he's not there. She was just obsessed with the fact that he was cheating on her. We drive home because we couldn't find him. Then a big fight ensued when he came home.
You think I'm stupid? I know you weren't at work.
I was always just confused why he stayed with her. And he still did things for her. He was still kind to her. It's just, I don't understand. And I don't think I ever will. What happened there?
Stop lying to me.
He loved her for whatever reason. That he felt some type of love towards her and he stayed with her, even though she was horrible to him. I did feel bad because he didn't deserve all of that. I think he should have gotten out.
I remember I was sitting down at the kitchen table and I was eating. My mom had bought some kind of rat killer chemical. She was telling me, "Oh, you know, I'm going to poison your dad. I'm so mad at him." I was getting used to her threats. At that time, I didn't feel like she was capable of doing it.
She would often tell him, like, I poison your food or I switch your medication out with other things. And he was terrified. She didn't have like a nursing background. Well, she would use that and say, I know how to kill you. I was scared. I remember one time I saying, Mom, don't say that.
Dinner's almost ready. This is for kill.
Who was scared? He was just scared to be living with her. Like, she was just so obsessed with him. How does a person live with someone who is just obsessive over their every little aspect of their life? I feel like he couldn't live and he couldn't breathe. He would tell me to keep an eye out for her doing weird things. He would say, like, if something happens to me, your mom did this. He told me one time he waits for her to fall asleep before he falls asleep. I'm like, that's very real. It's scary. In April of 2011, Koo came to my room in the middle of the night. And he's like, your mom is trying to set the house on fire. I was like, oh my God, what? So I got up, like, quick, to go see what she was doing, to see if she was really doing this. The gas stove was on, and she was ripping newspaper up and throwing the newspaper pieces into the gas burner. So I'm like, Mom, you need to stop.
Please.
And then she grabbed a knife that was on the counter next to her, and she starts waving it at me, and she's like, get out of here, go back to bed, and mind your business. Who's telling me, it's okay, go back to your room, and we'll call the cops. And so we start walking down the hallway, and all of a sudden, Koo like winces in pain. He's like, ow, that hurt. And I look, and it's a small knife, and she threw it at him into his shoulder. I said, there's a knife in your back. And I call 911. The cops arrest Karina and take her to jail for the night. I was afraid for my life that night, and then I became afraid of knives for a long time after. Koo dropped a case, and he told us he was going to go back to live with her. I just thought that was crazy. Koo is telling me, you need to call your dad. He needs to come pick you guys up. It's not safe for you anymore. I called my dad, and he's like, okay, yep, I'm coming. I was happy to go live with him, but I was worried about Koo because she's just such a wild card. Karina's actions are increasingly getting worse. I never know what she's going to do. I was afraid that Koo was being left alone in a dangerous place with Karina.
You don't deserve a mom. You don't deserve a mom at all. Oh, so sad. And then you start crying. What the?
Because you're so...
I don't give a enough.
It was pretty common for her to call me names every day, and I was pretty used to it. I feel really, really sad when I listen to it. Because I remember during this time I was so miserable and so depressed. I don't want to remember my mom like this, but scars from emotional and verbal abuse can last forever.
I was afraid for the kids at the house. I did feel guilty that Delilah had to become her punching bag now. She didn't deserve any of that. Nobody deserves that.
I definitely felt like I needed to protect my younger siblings and be responsible and step up because I didn't know what my mother was going to do next. Karina was getting more psychotic and more aggressive with Ku.
Why do you always do this?
Because you never listen!
I was very depressed and I didn't know how to handle their issues and handle my emotions and handle my younger siblings. I felt lonely as the oldest daughter at home to be witnessing firsthand and feeling like I didn't have a physical support system.
Go ahead, take your shot!
You are insane!
My mom was constantly telling me to not keep in touch with my sister. Ku came into my bedroom one day and told me seriously, "I'm sick and tired of your mother bullying me." Their relationship was always getting worse. I always hung out with my friends after school, and I had gotten a call from my mom, and my mom was asking me to stay overnight at my friends.
I don't even have my clothes here.
Usually she doesn't let me sleep over at my friends. The next day, my mom asked me to stay overnight again. I was like, why? I already stayed one night, so why do you want me to stay another night? And she wouldn't answer me why. She told me, "I love you." She would never say affectionate things. I counted 3 times where she said, "I love you" to me. So I thought it was pretty odd. After coming back from my sleepover, I came into the house and I asked where Dad was. And they said that Mom had told them that he was going to go stay at a relative's. I asked them if they wanted to go play outside because I haven't seen them in a while and I wanted to spend some time with them. When we went outside to play, I saw my mom. My mom looked weary and she looked uncomfortable. I saw a huge hole dug in her garden. And it was covered with some tarp-like material. I'm not thinking much of it, but I joke around and I say, "What if there's a dead body down there?" And my siblings and I just laugh it off. And my mom is back there and she says, "I'm just building a shed there." It wasn't unusual for my mom to have projects in the yard.
Why?
Her reasoning to make the shed was to increase the value of the house because she planned to sell it. She began to work on the shed a couple days later. The days passed and Koo still didn't come home. On the third day, when he wasn't home, I messaged him and asked him where he was. And I had no reply, but my message was delivered. I didn't believe he went away. It wasn't like him. He wouldn't leave his kids like that. When I asked her about where my dad was, she would go crazy and she would yell and cry and act crazy. I started recording because I had an intuition that something was off.
I do not care if he comes back and stop me from going or say, oh, we're still better, I love you. I don't care, I move on. Don't ever talk about the past, don't ever talk about, he cares, oh, he's still daddy. Dad. I never said that. Dad, I move on. Don't ever bring his name up. I was just asking because sometimes, like, I don't give a.
I asked where my dad was, and this was her response. I knew something was wrong when her response was so harsh and dismissive.
She dug a hole in the backyard. There's like a hole. It kind of looks like where you would bury a body. Maybe that's his grave. Or maybe mine.
I remember texting Maylene about the strange things going on in the house. I started to think something's wrong. Koo had been gone for 2 weeks, and my mother started cleaning up the house. Most of the work being done was in the parents' bedroom, and my mother told my siblings and I to not enter the room at all. One day, my friend came over, and I told her what was going on. We waited for my mom to leave the house. We go check the bedroom. We look in the closet, nothing. There's no clothes in there, no sign of my dad. And the mattress is covered by a cloth. That room was just so empty and eerie and just creepy. We uncover the cloth, and in the mattress, we find a cutout hole. And I'm like, that's weird. Why would the mattress be cut out? That's the side that my dad usually sleeps. We hear my mom coming back home, so we cover the cloth back onto the mattress, and we leave the bedroom as it was. I remember texting Maylene.
It was just overall really odd that the mattress was cut out the way it was. I'm like, nobody does that, and why is she keeping that bed? Now, that's definitely something that we should be worried about. Things were starting to add up that Karina did something. She texted me, what if mom did murder Koo? If she did, she's crazy. There's no other way to describe what's happening right now other than she killed him and now she's hiding it.
My younger sister had sent me a text saying, "Mommy's suspicious." And I asked her why. And she explained to me that Mom was going to take her shopping, but instead they took an hour-long ride to the park. When they arrived, my mom, she took a trash bag and threw it somewhere in the park, and they left. I was asking, what kind of object did you see in the trash bag? But my sister couldn't really remember. Who would drive an hour away from home to a park, a really big park, and just throw a trash bag away over there?
That's a little inconvenient to throw one bag of trash away. Did she throw away the murder weapon? Is that what she threw away?
I just remember every day when I would wake up, I would be scared. Because who knows what's going to happen that day. I was pretty hesitant about calling the police because I wasn't 100% sure if my mother was actually capable of doing this. But I went through with it. I was telling the police officer all the things I found and all the things I've heard from my mom.
Yeah, I think she might have done something.
The hole being dug and building a shed on top of it. My dad and his stuff are gone, and he's not replying to my texts. And the mattress has a hole cut out.
Hold on.
I was on the phone call for 2 hours. The police officer that I'm talking to doesn't tell me if they believe me or not. I took a huge risk by working with law enforcement. I changed the names of the officers on my phone so that she wouldn't see that they were officers.
Who's that?
Just a friend.
When Delilah told me that she was working with the police, I was scared. I was worried for her safety. I was worried what would happen if Karina found out that she was communicating with them.
You're gonna be late.
So I told Delilah, I'm like, you need to be very careful.
We were cleaning up the house so that she could put it up for sale. We were in the basement cleaning, and all of a sudden, there's 2 men outside, and they're knocking on the door, ringing the doorbell, and immediately I knew it was the police officers.
Anybody home in there?
My mom saw on the camera and knew that it was them. She told us to be quiet, to settle down, and she turned off all the lights.
Hello in there, anybody home?
We were just quiet, just waiting down in the basement, and I was texting the police officer, like, hey, she's ignoring you on purpose. They left, and they did the same thing next day, and my mom had the same reaction the next day. I felt disappointed when they left because I wasn't sure if they were going to keep on persisting. we're taking our belongings and we're leaving the place. I'm texting the sergeant, we're leaving. As we step out, the police officer came out, handcuffed her, and read her Miranda rights. When my mother was being handcuffed and taken away, she looked furious. She turned back at me and said, "Don't tell the police officers anything." I immediately updated my sister Maylin.
At that point, I was feeling very relieved. I knew that Delilah was safe. Part of me was a little worried because I was thinking, what if Karina finds out that Delilah helped orchestrate this? I felt like there was still a possibility of her getting away because I'm just used to her getting caught, getting let go. Is Karina going to get out again like she always does?
I was still worried where Ku was, and I was hoping that he would pop up. The sergeant had told me that they had gotten a search warrant for my house. They removed the shed, and then they dug up the hole, and they had found a body. I didn't want it to be my dad so bad. I really wanted it to be someone else besides my dad. I know it sounds horrible, but I really wish it wasn't my dad. The police called Maylene, and I was in the same room. He confirmed that it was my dad's body, and I remember crying so hard. I felt guilty that I hadn't catch on sooner. And I also feel disgusted because I was living in that house while he was in the backyard.
The sergeant told me that once they found his body and they told Karina that his body was found in the yard, she did admit to killing him. I was devastated. My siblings were there listening, and I was devastated for them because that was their dad. And hearing them cry for the first time in a long time, that hurt. This is a mugshot of Karina after she was arrested for murdering Ku. This is the her that I always kind of knew was there, that I was scared of. I always feel torn when I see pictures of her because I missed my mother. And then I hate her because of everything she's done to me. I just need a minute. I believe it was premeditated. However, she claims it was not. Everything seemed too pre-planned for her to have killed him because of this one event. There were too many things already put into motion for me to truly believe her.
I think a part of me didn't want to believe that my mother really did do it, but part of me wanted justice for my dad. I learned that my mother had shot him twice in the back of his head while he was sleeping. Then my mother dragged him from the bedroom all the way to the backyard. She dug a hole for his body and put his body down there. And she covered some tarp-like material over his body. Not to worry so much about the future just because there's so much time until she gets out, but I am going to be prepared for it. I will make sure that my siblings and I are safe. I don't care if she knows that I helped with law enforcement because I know that I did the right thing. I am proud of what I did, that I'm proud of that. I have mixed emotions about her. I hate her, I love her, and I miss her, but I also don't miss her. I don't want her to be near around me, and I don't have any plans on contacting her anytime soon, and I don't plan on seeing her in the future.
I do think about when she's going to be out. Is she going to try to reach out to my younger siblings, who I now have custody of? I want no contact with her. She's just a mother in my name, but we have no relationship. The evil in her just kept growing. And every time she got away with doing something horrible, it grew bigger. And somewhere along the way, she lost her moral compass. And when you lose that, there's nothing to stop you from doing anything.
Go back. It also reminds me of my purpose now. That was a bad period in my life, but I overcame and I survived that time. When I heard what the truth really was, it was sickening. He was a serial predator. This very easily could have been me, and I think that's what's so hard for me, is because I've seen the end of a gun in his hand. When I found out he was dead, it was, for me, a sign of freedom after all those years. And I'm glad that he can't hurt anyone else any longer. Stafford and I met by mistake. A friend of mine was friends with his best friend. They wanted to go out. And so they brought us along as the wingmen, I guess.
So, what's your story?
So we end up, just chatting, having general conversation, and realized we had a lot in common. I liked his sense of humor. He made me laugh. We both loved music. At the time, I was 20. He was 27. He told me he was going through a divorce and they had 2 children. He was a mechanic, so he was self-employed. He worked on cars. He had his own garage.
Maybe we can do this again, without the 2 of them.
He asked me if I wanted to go out, and I was like, sure. And then from there, we just kind of started seeing each other, more on a regular basis. And at some point, I fell in love.
Perfect.
I was young, I was naive, I was trusting, and never in a million years thinking that someone would actually want to hurt me. You know, someone that says that they love me would want to hurt me. When we met, he was living with one of his family members. I went to the house one night. He was downstairs in the basement washing clothes. And I was upstairs in his room, and I was laying across the bed watching TV. And his mother comes to the door, and she says, "You need to leave him alone so he can be with his family." And I was totally taken aback.
Okay.
Why would you say that to me? It just came out of left field. The only thing I could think was because the divorce still hadn't gone through. So I was okay, well, maybe she just wants him to be back with the wife. So by the time I get to the front door, he's coming back up the stairs.
Sonia! Sonia, wait. What's up? Why are you leaving?
It's clear I'm not welcome here.
What do you mean?
Your mom doesn't want me here. I'm gonna leave.
Just give me a minute. Don't go.
He tells me to wait.
Mom! What the hell is wrong with you?
And I could hear him yelling at her.
You've got no damn right talking to my friend like that.
He proceeded to continue to kind of curse her and tell her off.
Get the hell out of here and mind your own damn business.
Respectful to me. About a year into was something that he was blamed for that he didn't do.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought it up.
Looking back now, when I think about it, it makes me almost sick to my stomach. Years later, I learned that the story was a total lie. It was a young lady that was found burned in the back of a car. And not only was a girl, it was a 17-year-old girl, and it was his girlfriend at the time. We had a New Year's Eve party at our house and had some friends and family over. At the end of the evening, we had to take one of my cousins home. And so on the way, Stafford was going a different route than what I normally went to the house.
What are you doing?
And so I asked him, you know, how come you're going this way? How come you don't go that way? And he just kind of snapped at me.
Don't tell me how to drive.
And told me, well, I'm going the way I want to go. You know, don't question me.
You got a problem with that?
I didn't understand, why are you getting so upset over a simple question? I just said, okay. And I sat there quiet for the rest of the trip. And so we get back home, and he starts back up with me.
I don't need you to tell me what to do. You got that?
About don't question me. And it turns into this big blown out argument.
I said I'm sorry.
Then why do you keep doing it?
Leave me alone.
Before I knew it, he pushed me down on the bed. He's on top of me. His face went don't know if blank is the word. I didn't recognize him. It was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I was scared. Before I knew it, he headbutted me. Split my forehead open. I was crying, and I'm just... His erratic work hours really bothered me. The hours got longer and longer. It might be 11 o'clock when he came home. It might be 1 o'clock in the morning when he came home. There would be nights when he wouldn't come home.
I'm awake.
It bothered me. I would question, why do you have to work so late? I don't never know when you're coming home. People close their garages and go home to their families. Why are you any different?
What are you doing all day and night?
What do you mean, what am I doing? I'm working.
He would say, I got this card to do, I got that card to do, I'm still working on this, oh, and then I gotta go over there and I gotta check out this person's card. He was a self-employed person. He was a business owner. So there was always a reason.
Trying to run a business.
I'm sorry. I just want you home more.
Stafford was my first real adult relationship that I had. I believe what he said. As time went on, it became normal. That, oh, he's not here. He's still at the garage. That became my saying. He's still at the garage. This is the journal that I used to keep. Thursday, February the 14th, 2002. What a lovely Valentine's Day. Yeah, right. Stafford didn't come home last night. Of course, I was calling and calling, but no answer. It's a terrible feeling to not know where someone is and to be very worried about them when they don't show up. This particular Valentine's, I was waiting for him. He was supposed to have been coming home, but he never made it. Next morning comes, now I'm just mad. You never came home, never heard from you. Where were you?
You want to tell me where you've been at all night long?
He told me that his aunt was in the hospital and said that he was at the hospital. I was uncertain if he was really telling the truth.
Why are you being like this?
But that was one of those times when he flipped that conversation around on me and told me basically that I was selfish for wanting him to be there when he was there taking care of his family and checking on his family.
I think if you weren't so wrapped up in yourself, you wouldn't get so upset over nothing.
I became the bad person. I became what was wrong with us. And I had to find a way to change my behavior so that these things don't happen.
I'm sorry.
If I would take his feelings into more consideration, then we would be fine. He convinced me that I was wrong and that I couldn't see past what I wanted. Tuesday, February the 19th. We finally made up. I have finally come to the realization that I let my emotions get the best of me. I couldn't or wouldn't see past my feelings to see that he was there for his aunt. Looking at it now, I can see that he had convinced me that it was my fault, that I'm too sensitive, and that I let my emotions fog me. And so my thoughts became what he told me that they were, not what I thought that they were. It was the beginning of him starting to mentally control me. He started like blaming me for his behavior. I remember one night, it was about 1 or 2 in the morning, and we were sleeping. He gets up, doesn't say a word to me, slams the door. When he slammed the door, like everything shook. It woke me up, and I was like, what in the world? So I immediately called him. I said, what is wrong with you?
Stafford, what happened? Where'd you go?
He was like, you know what you did. I didn't do anything. I was like, what are you talking about? What did I do? He said that I rolled over, I got on top of him, and said another man's name.
Stafford, I swear, there's no one else.
Whose name were you saying in your sleep? You gotta be seeing somebody. Who is it? Who is it?
Please, just come home. I swear, whatever I said, I didn't mean it.
It was just baffling to me. It just made no sense. I'm not seeing anybody else. But all I had to go off of is what he told me. I start questioning myself. Maybe there's something there and I'm just not aware of it and it's coming out in my sleep. I was like, I think something's wrong with me. I need help. Something is wrong with me.
Stafford?
Now I understand that what he was doing at that time is gaslighting. He was manipulating my mind to have me doubting my own sanity. And it kept happening over and over and over again. There's questions that I have still to this day that I will never know the answer to. There are parts of my life that I don't know what was real and what wasn't. And, you know, I just have to live with the fact that I'll never know. October 28th of 2002. I'm doing things in my sleep I can't explain. Unfortunately, I can't remember any of it. I have got to fix this, and soon. November the 22nd, this is happening again. Me talking in my sleep and doing things and having no recollection of it. Stafford left at 4 a.m. this morning, stormed out. God, what is wrong with me? I just don't understand, and it frightens me. Even though it was me that wrote it, because I'm not this person any longer, I look at it now and I feel sorry for her. All I can do is shake my head because I can just see the pattern, the manipulative pattern to make sure that I stayed where he needed me to be, in his control. When we first started dating, the story was that he was separated and that he and the wife were going through a divorce. Stafford called me one day that he hurt his hand while he was working, and he had to go to the emergency room. I said, well, where are you? I'm gonna come up there. No, don't come up here. I went anyway. So I get there, and he was with his wife. And I called his name, and I said, Stafford. And he turned around. I said, are you really gonna act like you don't know? I get to the house, I take everything that he owned, and I put it in the pile next to the door. So I'm like, I'm not gonna deal with this. He gets to the house.
What's all this about?
What do you think it is?
My question was, well, are y'all still together? We're not still together. You know I can't stand her.
I thought you said you were getting a divorce.
And he said because the divorce hadn't gone through, he was still under the wife's insurance. So he had to call her to bring the insurance cards.
So why is it such a big secret then?
I remember telling him, why were you hiding her being there? All you had to do was tell me that she was there.
I'm sorry. I should have handled it better.
I was in total denial about everything. One morning, it was early. It was probably about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, and the doorbell rings. And he went to the door, and I could hear him saying, what are you doing here? When I looked out the front window, it was his wife. And she said, oh, this is your nighttime job? And I stood there and I was like, nighttime job? What is she talking about? What nighttime job? He made her leave. When he came back in the room, the first thing I asked him was, what is she doing here?
So she's coming to our house now?
He didn't seem the least bit surprised that she was there. And he brushed it off. He was like, I'll talk to her. I'll make sure she doesn't come back. It was like, okay. You know, wheels are now starting to turn. There's a reason that this woman came looking for you.
I thought you two hated each other.
We do.
And if you two don't get along, why does she care about where you are?
I don't know what she's after. She's crazy.
We were arguing, and he spit out that he was divorced.
Wait, what?
And I said, you're divorced? When did this happen? How come you didn't tell me? And he was like, what? I'm finally divorced now. We can finally be together. He told me what I wanted to hear. She never did show up, at the house again. But what she said always kind of stayed in the back of my mind of what did that mean? We had an engagement party, and it was just full speed ahead with the wedding plans because now we can be together. And then one day we had another argument. And he tells me I'm not divorced.
You told me the divorce was final.
He sat there on the edge of the bed and he started just crying and babbling about us and his family. And he started saying that he wanted to die. I just want to die.
I'm sorry. I just can't do this anymore.
He had a gun in the house. It came out. And he had loaded one bullet in the gun. He took the gun, he put it up to his head, put it to his temple. And I was like, Stafford, stop. Stop it.
You don't want to do this.
Begging him and telling him, put the gun down, put the gun down. And he pulled the trigger. after it clicked, I just kept saying, stop, please stop. Just put it down. You want to live. You don't want to die.
It's gonna be okay.
And he was like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Cocked the gun back again. And put it up one more time. Pulled the trigger and it clicked. I was petrified. And I told him again, stop it, Stafford, stop it. Put the gun up again. And this time, when he pulled the trigger, he pointed it at me. I couldn't believe that we were at this point. This is not happening right now. This cannot be happening. And I ran down the hall, and the gun went off. I was like, oh my God. I came back down the hall, and I peeked in the room, and he was still sitting there on the side of the bed. And I looked up in the ceiling right above my head, and the bullet was lodged in the ceiling. And I said, you tried to shoot me.
You almost killed me. What the hell is wrong with you?
And he just sat there and cried. And I ran over to him, and I hugged him, and I comforted him.
It's okay.
The crying spells were an act. It was part of his manipulation, part of keeping me there. I went from the victim to now rescuing him. And we sat there, we talked, trying to figure out what was going on with him. Why are you doing all of this? He was very good at the manipulation factor. And so he knew the things that he needed to do to kind of reel me back in. I had never been to his garage. He would describe to me how it looked, and I just had a mental picture in my mind of the way it looked. But I had never been there. One particular time, the wife had taken the boys, his children, somewhere. He heard that she had moved out of town, and he didn't know where they were. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can find them. And so I started getting on the internet and like doing searches and stuff. His thing was that he didn't know where the kids were. So my whole reasoning behind it was to find out where the kids were, you know, because that would make him happy. And I pulled her name up. And when I pulled her name, I'd been deceived. So I parked at the end of the street, and I sat and just waited to see if I saw anybody go in or out of the house for a little while. I didn't see anything, but I knew enough to know that he was living a double life. 2 families, 2 lives, 2 households. I was the other woman. So that evening, I had taken everything that he owned, and put it by the front door. When he came home, he says, what is all this?
What's going on?
I know where you've been going.
And I told him, I said, I found the garage. And eyes got a little big. He was surprised, but that didn't last long, because then it got defensive. He flipped it around to me and said that he didn't tell me because the house was in her name, but she didn't live there.
She owns the place. So what?
And he said, I just rent the garage in the back. I want to believe him, but my gut knew something's not right, and you're really not being truthful with me. And so I was on this quest now for the truth. the number. And the name said Morgan. I decided that I was going to call her and find out who she was. I was a little jittery because I wasn't sure what to say.
Hi. I'm sorry for calling.
She said he was her mechanic. I said, okay, thanks. Hung up the phone. I knew that there was more to it. She must have told him that I called. The next day, he was very upset with me. My stomach was in knots because something in me felt that something was gonna happen. I didn't know what that something was gonna be, but it wasn't gonna be good. So while in the kitchen, I went in the drawer and I took out this knife and I just laid it on the counter to protect myself.
Sonia, why are you going around calling my customers?
He gets on my face and just starts yelling at me about me calling his customers and it's not my business.
You got no damn right calling people asking about me.
And he sees the knife sitting on the counter. And he was like, oh, so what you want? You gonna try to stab me? And he started hitting me in my body. He hit me in my face. I am trying to protect, my head and my face. And he just kept hitting me. And I end up falling onto the ground. So he's now over top of me on the floor. And I'm telling him to get off of me, trying to get him off of me. His eyes were filled with hate. And he said, I should stab you.
Stop her! No!
He takes the knife and he jabs it right next to my ear. And I managed to push him off of me. Something snapped in me mentally. And I got mad. I wasn't scared anymore. I was mad.
You want to kill me?
He looked me square in my eyes. And he said, if I had a gun, I would shoot you dead right now. And I told him, I said, I do not care. I gained this strength that I hadn't had. And then he started his cry. He got down on his knees on the floor and begging.
Please don't go.
And I just looked at him now. I didn't go over to him like I normally did. I didn't feel sorry for him anymore. I didn't care. I was done. May 29th, 2015. It was a Friday. And I had just left work and I was going on my way to the gym. This particular highway I was on was backed up. I'm like, why is this highway backed up? As I got closer, I looked over and there was a car that was in the middle of the highway. And pretty much the whole front was gone. And I remember I just started praying. I started crying. And I got this just weird feeling that just came over my whole body. And I was like, okay, what is that? And why am I crying? A few minutes later, I get a phone call. And it's from a friend of mine, and he asked me if I had seen the news. And he says, staff got in an accident and they think he's dead.
What?
The news is saying he had also killed 2 other people. There was a girlfriend that had been found dead. And I said, was the girl Morgan? And he said yes.
The man police say killed his estranged girlfriend, Morgan Rogers, and their 1-year-old daughter, Leah, in their Chesterfield home Friday, then hours later killed a brother and sister in a crash on Interstate 295 while eluding police. A crash that also killed Shaw.
I found out that Morgan was shot, both her and the baby. He shot them while they were sleeping.
Chesterfield police say phone records prove Shaw admitted he killed Rogers and their 1-year-old daughter, Leah.
This was the crash site that I saw. I remember seeing it that day. I remember driving past the accident site, not knowing what it was. I had witnessed where he died and took 2 other people's lives with him. When I found out he was dead, I could breathe. I could finally breathe. He was back living a double life again. He went back to his family, but was still seeing another woman on the side. The guilt was about me not speaking up back then and me not saying anything to Morgan when I talked to her that day. And if I would have said something, if I would have told her what kind of a person he really was. He was a monster. And I know no other word. The signs, it's not always easy to leave. But we don't have to suffer in silence. I have to keep speaking, and I have to keep pushing and helping because there's too many people out there to help.
In the bustling heart of Cape Town, a man can dream of reclaiming his life or fall into a trap that threatens to destroy him. David Hart, a middle-aged man broken by divorce and failure, sought a new start amidst personal ruin. But his choices led him to a world of drugs, prisons, and peril. This is the story of a dreamer, a smuggler, and a survivor who fought to rebuild his soul. From the gritty hostels of South Africa to the sunlit beaches of Mauritius, from the chaos of a prison yard to the quiet redemption of invention, David's journey poses a haunting question. Can a man escape the emptiness of his past, or will it forever define him? Join us as we unravel the life of David Hart, a tale of loss, courage, and renewal.
A broken man.
In Cape Town, where the city's vibrancy clashed with personal despair, David Hart faced a midlife crisis at 42. "I wasn't good enough," he later recalled, voice heavy with shame. Physically, sexually, mentally. In 2003, his marriage collapsed, his online business imploded, and his confidence shattered. "I lost everything," he said. "I felt empty." His only family was his identical twin, Harold, his lifelong confidant. "We think alike, solve problems together," David said. But Harold was married, and David's pride kept him from leaning on him. "I couldn't impose," he said. With no means to maintain his old lifestyle, David moved into a backpacker hostel, a humbling choice. It was cheap, 50 rand a day, he said. The conditions shocked him. Shared bunks, strangers vomiting at night. I felt like a loser, he said, homesick and out of place. I saw no future. David Hart was a man stripped of his identity, lost in the wreckage of his life. In Cape Town's chaos, he sought a way out, a spark to fill the void. But desperation can lead to dangerous paths when the wrong opportunity beckons. For David, that opportunity came at a hostile barbecue, and it would change his life forever. At a weekend braai, David met travelers whose stories of adventure stirred him. I'd never been overseas, he said. They opened a window. One night, a suave man named Ben approached. Would you like to go to Mauritius? He asked. All expenses paid. David's heart leaped. Sounds great, he said. Ben's pitch. Smuggle drugs in leather sandals for a consortium. It's safe, Ben said. No one's been caught. David, naive to drug mules, saw a lifeline. I'm in, he said, ignoring the risks.
The lure of Mauritius.
Ben's plan paired David with Diane, another hostel resident. You look like a couple, Ben said. Perfect cover. He showed them the sandals, brand new, with 500 grams of heroin hidden inside. It's not much, Ben said, handing them $5,000 to enjoy the trip. David, dazzled, felt honored. He chose me, he said. It felt good. He told Harold he was going on holiday, brushing off concerns. I'll see you in a week, he said, boarding a flight to Mauritius with Diane, the sandals squeaking on his feet. Mauritius was paradise, palm trees, beaches, a stunning hotel. It was bliss, David said. But the delivery loomed. A phone call instructed them to meet outside. In a dark car, a motorbike pulled up, and David handed over the sandals, heart racing. The driver sped off, and relief flooded him. I did it, he said, confidence soaring. They partied, spending freely, tasting freedom. This is the life, he thought. For a man broken by failure, Mauritius was a dazzling escape. The money and thrill filled the void in David's heart, blinding him to the danger. He thought he'd found a new path, but he was playing with the devil.
The second temptation.
Back at the hostel, the contrast was stark. Baked beans instead of first-class meals. It was a downer, David said. When Ben offered another job, David jumped. When am I going? He asked. Diane wanted in, but David, greedy for the money, brushed her off. Let's wait, he said, planning to go alone. I wanted it all for myself, he admitted. Ben provided new sandals, same size, same deal. Heroin to Mauritius. I felt empowered, David said, not seeing he was being used. On January 26, 2004, David landed in Mauritius, confident. I knew the drill, he said. At customs, an officer asked, What are you here for? Holiday, David replied, nerves tingling. No further questions. At the hotel, he awaited the pickup, dreaming of more trips. This could be lucrative, he thought. David Hart tasted success, but it was a dangerous illusion. The ease of his first run fueled his greed, pulling him deeper into the game. He thought he was in control, but the devil was watching, ready to strike.
The close call.
The next morning, police stormed his hotel room, grabbing him. Where are the drugs, Mr. Hart? They demanded, tearing the room apart. David stayed calm, the sandals on his feet. I don't know what you mean, he said. An officer accidentally knocked off a sandal, but David casually put it back on. Look at my feet, he said, heart pounding. The police apologized. Wrong information, they said. Enjoy your trip. David exhaled, thinking, I'm safe now. But panic lingered. I can't keep these drugs, he thought. A contact called, arranging a pickup. Everything's under control, she said. David, trusting his gut, agreed to meet. big mistake, he later said. David Hart narrowly escaped, but his confidence was a trap. He thought he'd outsmarted the system, but the devil's game was far from over. One wrong move would seal his fate.
The Fall.
In a taxi, David clutched the sandals, paranoia rising. A car followed, keeping distance. At the meeting point, arms grabbed him. "You're under arrest," a man in a brown suit said, yanking the sandals. At the station, police cut them open, revealing 500 grams of heroin, 250 grams per sandal. "Who's the dealer?" they asked. David stayed silent. "I just wore the sandals," he said. They demanded a confession, and he signed, believing a fine would free him. "You're getting 45 years, an officer said. 45? David gasped, his world collapsing. Sent to Central Prison, chaos greeted him, shouting, scarred inmates, no teeth. "I was scared," he said. 4 to a cell, sharing a quarter mattress, the reality hit. "How do I survive this?" he thought. In that moment, David Hart's dreams of freedom turned to ash. 500 grams of heroin, hidden in his sandals, became his prison. The chaos of Central Prison loomed, and survival was his only goal.
Hell behind bars. Central Prison was a nightmare. It was chaos, David said. Inmates lived for heroin, supplied by 3 gangs. David saw a man hacked with a machete for stealing drugs. Blood pooling. "I felt responsible," he said. Guilt heavy from the heroin he'd smuggled. A riot followed, with mattresses burning and a riot squad tearing through. It was headline news, he said. Locked down. David called Harold, tears in his eyes. "Help me," he pleaded. Harold's response cut deep. "Get on with it." The twin bond broke. "It hurt," David said. "I'd never felt so alone." In his cell, David sobbed. No one's coming, he realized. Depression sank in. "It's just me," he said. David Hart. In Central Prison's chaos, David Hart hit rock bottom. The brother he relied on turned away, and his guilt consumed him. He faced a stark reality: survive or be broken. But even in hell, a spark of purpose could ignite. A spark of purpose.
Sentenced to 9 years, on September 26, 2006, David accepted his fate. "I committed a crime," he said. "I had to give back." He started teaching computer classes. "Despite no books, I knew the basics," he said. Nervous at first, he made it fun, teaching inmates about modems and typing. They didn't want to leave, he said, pride swelling. The commissioner, impressed, promised a computer room. "Prove you can do this," he said. David's life changed. "I felt useful," he said, the void filling with achievement. In the heart of prison, David Hart found purpose. Teaching gave him a reason to rise, a way to atone. But 9 years loomed, and his redemption was just beginning.
Light of invention.
David taught 600 inmates, earning them Microsoft certificates. "It helped me give back," he said. One night, a broken light bulb sparked an idea. Why not a socket for both bayonet and Edison bulbs, he thought. He designed it nightly, sketching for 7 years. It kept me going, he said. In March 2014, an officer announced, "You're going home tomorrow." David's heart soared. "I'm going to Cape Town," he said, clapping. David Hart turned prison's darkness into light, his invention a symbol of hope. He'd risked everything in desperation, but now he risked his mind to create. Freedom was a chance to prove his change.
A New Dawn.
In Cape Town, Harold welcomed David to live with him. "We're together again," David said. He patented his Dynalite socket, aiming to change the lighting industry. "It's my proof," he said. "I was a model prisoner." Living simply with Harold, David felt content. "The old David is gone," he said. "I'm at peace." He spoke to youth, warning against crime. "I'm not perfect," he said, "but I'm satisfied." David Hart is a paradox, a man broken by failure, a smuggler redeemed by purpose, a twin who found peace in giving back. His story challenges us. Can we judge a man by his worst mistake, or by the good he creates? David found his answer in the invention he built, the brother he reconciled with, and the man he became. As we leave him, one question lingers. Are we ready to forgive David Hart? That's for you to decide. For David, the journey continues, one step toward redemption at a time.
I didn't speak. There was nothing to defend. Everything he said was true. And here came the indulgence, the desire to turn his pain into something coherent, meaningful, narratively satisfying, a temptation stronger than any applause, the temptation to fix what I had broken by shaping it into another story. I felt it rising in me, the urge to ask for an interview, the urge to capture a second photograph as a counterpoint, the urge to build a redemption arc out of both of us. It was grotesque and intoxicating. He must have sensed it. He froze, turned, and stared at me. "You're doing it again," he said softly. "You're looking at me like I'm a subject." I looked away. Heat surged through me. Shame, yes, but also something darker. Recognition. Because he was right. Part of me was already framing him. The light, the shadows, the trembling in his hands. I hated myself for it, but the lens inside my mind refused to close. He walked to a corner and picked up a plastic crate filled with torn notebooks. "These are mine," he said. "My words, my memories, but nobody ever asked for them." He held one out. I hesitated. He shoved it into my hands. The pages were filled with uneven handwriting, drawings, lists, fragments of dreams. Some entries were violent. Some were tender. Some were incomprehensible from sheer trauma. I flipped through them quickly, too quickly, like someone searching for a quote rather than a life. He snatched it back. "Exactly," he said. "That's all you ever wanted. A snippet, a line, something to fit your narrative." His anger wasn't loud. It was quiet, controlled, the kind of anger that has matured over decades until it becomes a slow-burning truth. He walked toward the door. "Come on," he said. "There's more." I followed him out into the sunlight, blinking. We walked past fishermen repairing nets, past children playing football in the dirt, past a dog sleeping under a rusted boat frame. "Do you know what happened after your photo went international?" he asked. "I had journalists knocking at my mother's door. Activists tried to use me. Politicians tried to silence me. Tourists asked me to recreate the pose." He spat on the ground. "There is no therapy for that." We reached a cliff overlooking the ocean. Waves crashed below us, violent and beautiful. He stood on the edge, arms crossed. Without turning, he said, "My mother died thinking the world cared about us because of that photo." The wind howled. I felt it cut through me. "She didn't understand," he continued, "that the world cared only long enough to print it, to award it, to applaud you." Silence hung between us, cold, heavy, necessary. I forced myself to breathe. Then I asked the question I had never allowed myself to ask. "What do you want from me?" He turned slowly. His eyes were tired, but clear. "I want you to understand what you took," he said, "and I want to know why you came back. Really came back." The indulgence surged again, the urge to confess everything, to fall apart dramatically, to offer him a redemption arc tied neatly to mine. But he didn't want spectacle. He wanted truth, stripped of performance. So I said the only honest thing I could. "I came because I need to know if I can make anything right." He shook his head. "Nothing can be made right, but something can be made real." Then he pointed at the camera hanging from my shoulder. "Put it away," he said. "If you want to hear me, really hear me, put it away." I unclipped the strap. My hands trembled. Not from fear, from withdrawal, as though surrendering the camera was like giving up a drug. I set it on the ground. He watched me carefully, measuring, judging, testing. Then he nodded. "Good," he said. "Now we can start." He sat on the ground, legs crossed, facing the sea. I sat beside him. For a long time, he didn't speak, and for the first time in decades, I didn't fill the silence. When he finally did speak, his voice was rough but steady. "I'm going to tell you what happened after the photo," he said. "All of it. But you're not going to use it. Not for a book, not for a documentary, not for anything." He turned to me. "You're going to hear it because I need someone to carry it, not publish it." My throat tightened. I nodded, and as the waves crashed beneath us, he began. Slowly, painfully, honestly. His story poured out like water breaking through a dam. Every word chipped away at the myth I had built around myself. Every sentence stripped another layer of pride. I listened. I absorbed. I unraveled. And somewhere, between his memories and my silence, the ground beneath my identity began to crack. He talked for hours, maybe longer. Time dissolved into the sound of waves gnawing at the rocks below us. His words came in uneven bursts, quiet one moment, shaking the next, then suddenly flat and distant, as though he were narrating someone else's life. He told me about nights sleeping under stairwells because neighbors wouldn't take in the boy from the photo. About bullies who shoved the newspaper in his face, calling him La Víctima, El Símbolo, the little ghost. About journalists who used his pain like currency. About teachers who pitied him so loudly it became another form of ridicule. About activists who tried to parade him like proof. About long silences at the dinner table. About anger. About shame. About the slow, burning conviction that his life had been hijacked by a single moment he couldn't remember clearly. And through it all, I listened. Not because I was noble, not because I was brave, but because for the first time in 3 decades, I felt the shape of my guilt sharpening into something I could no longer outrun. Every sentence he spoke cracked another piece of me. Every memory he described unraveled the myth I had built of myself. The collapse didn't happen all at once. It came in quiet shocks, like small bones breaking inside the chest. He told me about the night his mother died, a simple illness, a preventable one, but they never went to the hospital. People recognized me, he said, recognized her. Some were kind, most weren't. He laughed bitterly. Imagine that, being famous enough to get harassed, but not enough to be helped. I felt something cold spread through me, a knowledge I didn't want, that my photograph had not just captured a moment, it had distorted a life around it. He described his teenage years, anger, street fights, a brief arrest, nothing severe, just a boy trying to carve out a shape that wasn't defined by pity or politics. They thought I was dangerous, he said, but I was just tired. Tired. That word hung in the air like smoke. I felt it settle into my skin. He told me about a woman he once loved, how she left when she discovered the photo. She said she didn't want to spend her life with a tragedy, he muttered. She wanted someone whole. He rubbed his face hard, as though trying to erase the memory. I've never been whole. I don't know if I ever could be. Something inside me crumpled, quietly, irreversibly. The sun had dipped low by the time he ran out of words. The world shifted into blue, the kind of blue that belongs only to endings. He stared at the horizon, hands clasped, shoulders heavy. I don't want your apology, he said, not cruelly, just exhausted. I want space from the image, from everything it did. I nodded. My whole body felt hollow, carved out, dangerously light. And that's when the collapse began for me. Not from his story, from mine. For 30 years, I told myself I was documenting truth. I told myself I was capturing humanity. I told myself I was doing good. But as he sat beside me, trembling in small, unguarded moments, I realized something brutal. I had built a career on the illusion that my lens was neutral. It never was. I never was. Every award,